He must have traveled back in time to high school. Murphy walked back to school with his classmates, and along the way, everyone greeted him warmly. At this point in his life, Murphy was the brightest football star on campus. If everything went according to plan, $1 million career and a brilliant future awaited him. But no one could have predicted what would happen on the day of the state championship. With just 3.5 seconds left on the clock, Murphy pulled off a miraculous touchdown, and his underdog team clinched the first ever state title in the town's history. But the victory came at a devastating price. In those final moments, Murphy was blindsided by an opponent, shattering his leg. He was left with a permanent limp, his football dreams over forever, and with them went his shot at a college athletic scholarship, his one chance to change his fate. For 20 years, Murphy lived with regret and disappointment. Without football, he became a farmer. He had a struggling farm on the verge of collapse and lived in a cramped, rundown house. Life hadn't turned out the way he'd hoped, but Murphy's one consolation was a devoted wife who stuck by him through thick and thin, and 2 lively, adorable daughters. He was also well liked around town. After all, he'd once brought glory to this place. People still affectionately called him Mr. Football. But now, Murphy could barely keep food on the table. His caring wife watched him sitting in his beat-up old pickup truck, knowing how stressed he'd been lately. When he finally came inside, she had breakfast ready and gently asked if something was on his mind. Murphy shrugged it off, saying he'd just been listening to the radio. Men tend to swallow their troubles alone, and Murphy was no different. Then his wife softly reminded him not to forget about the bank. It turned out that Murphy had bet everything on giving his family a better life. While everyone else planted corn, he took out a loan and gambled his entire future on 200 hectares of soybeans. Higher risk, but bigger reward. It was his only shot at turning things around. But the beans weren't ready yet, and his loan was already 4 months overdue. If he couldn't pay back most of the debt within 3 days, the bank would auction off everything he owned in 2 weeks. He and his family would be out on the street. Murphy sat on the couch, holding his sleeping daughter, watching that leg-breaking game on an old VHS tape over and over. Cursed himself as he watched. 2 of his teammates had been wide open, no one covering them, but he'd tried to be the hero, and it had cost him everything. The old coach, who'd also spent his whole life in this small town, had invited Murphy to become a football coach many times, but Murphy always turned him down. He wasn't that fearless young man anymore. He was just a middle-aged guy who'd given up on his dreams.